So if you don't know who was the best supporting actor in a foreign sitcom this year, then it doesn't matter. You could just click past it, get to the podcast bit, click on those things for fish, put your email in, bish bash bosh, job done. And we might get nominated for an award. I'm going back to sleep. Enjoy the show. On with the podcast.
On with the podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of No Such Thing as a Fish, a weekly podcast. This week coming to you live from the Bloomsbury Theatre in London! I am sitting here with Anna Tashinsky, Andrew Hunter-Murray, and James Harkin. And once again, we have gathered around the microphones with our 4 favorite facts from the last 7 days, and in no particular order.
Okay, the networks are down.
Starting with fact number 1, and that is my fact. My fact this week is that originally Popeye, the Sailor Man, got his powers not from eating spinach, but by rubbing a lucky magic hen.
I love the fact that you need to specify Popeye.
All right, we might be ready to move on this thing. If you want to work, you'll get a knock on your door any minute.
You know the great guy.
I think that was the chicken.
That was the chicken.
Was that the chicken?
So Popeye the Sailor Man, and he was a cartoon back in the early 1900s, and when he originally...
And also beyond, if you're remembering Popeye and thinking, shit, am I that old? He lasted even beyond the early 1900s.
I don't know if he's still on TV. He might be, but we all still know him. He's such an iconic character, and obviously he derived all of his powers from spinach. But when the comic strip that he first appeared in was happening, he wasn't a main character. He was this sort of peripheral character who was introduced to the series. And there's an episode where he finds himself hired by Olive Oil, who becomes his girlfriend and eventual wife, by her brother, who's called Castor Oil, who sails a ship to Dice Island, where he intends to make a lot of money in a casino by rubbing the head of a lucky hen. And when he gets there, Popeye gets shot by someone. So the first time we ever see him getting supernatural strength is when, after he's shot, this little whiffle hen comes by, and he goes, well, I don't know, whiffle hen. I don't know how he talks, actually, I can't remember. Something like that. Yeah. And he rubs the hen's head, and then he gets the supernatural power, and he takes out the shooter with some punches. And that's the very first one.
It was a comic strip, right?
Yeah.
So we wouldn't have known how he spoke, I guess. Right. Just whatever's in your head is how he spoke.
That's very nice, though. Isn't there an American restaurant called Popeyes?
Yeah.
Isn't it a chicken restaurant?
Oh, yeah. I go in there rubbing their chickens.
You've been told.
Spinach didn't come in until quite a lot later, did it?
It was a few years later, yeah.
I think it was 1932.
Yeah.
And Popeye, like you say, I think this comic book series started in the mid-teens, 15 or 16, but I think Popeye became the main character in the early 20s. So until then, I think he was just relying on normal strength.
Yeah.
Well, he's very strong.
How did he do
He is very strong normally, but when he has a spinach, he gets extra strong. That's the whole point of those forearms, you know.
Yes.
Well, wait a minute, because your biceps are what makes you strong.
This has always been the bewildering thing about Popeye.
So he's got massive forearms, and the muscles in your forearms are the ones that control your fingers. So he's just a brilliant pianist.
Well, don't do a thumb war with Popeye, is what you're saying.
I did not know that Popeye is Jewish.
Is he?
Popeye
Jewish?
Popeye's Jewish. So L.Z. Seagull was the original cartoonist who drew Popeye. He was Jewish, and there was a lot of sort of very, very subtle Jewish references and sort of jokes in the strip. Yeah, and to such an extent that in fascist Italy, because the cartoon was popular across the world, it was so popular. When it appeared in fascist Italy, the creator's name Seagull was taken off it because they were anti-Semitic, and so but they still had to have the Popeye.
Are you saying Popeye the Sailor was Jewish, or that Seagull was Jewish?
Well, Seagull was Jewish, and there are lots of references. It's a very sort of Jewish inflected and influenced cartoon. So there's no actual scene of Popeye, having Yom Kippur or whatever. But
That's amazing, because weirdly, later on in the Popeye book, there was a thing where the original animators were no longer animating it, and it was outsourced. And it was outsourced to Prague in order for them to make the cartoons. There was a whole series where Tom and Jerry was made in Prague and so on. None of the animators out there had seen it, and this was because there was no money to do it. So there was a run of 13 episodes, which are often called the worst 13 episodes.
Of Popeye?
Of Tom and Jerry, because no one had really seen it. But Popeye was done there as well. But the thing was, all of the people, this is a credit, who animated in Prague had to have their names changed for American names because they didn't want audiences thinking a communist country at the time was infiltrating communist ideas into their Popeye and Tom and Jerry.
Also, isn't it landlocked, Czech Republic? So, like, how would you have a sailor man there?
Oh, I guess inland waterways.
Oh,
canal.
Danube,
Yeah, canal-based.
Danube man.
Yeah. Mongolia has it, doesn't it, as well? Despite being landlocked.
Yeah. Bolivia as well.
And Bolivia, yeah.
Captain Von Trapp is in Sound of Music. Is he admiral or something, or a captain in the
Austria.
Navy of the landlocked Austria?
So it makes more sense. You're going to have a sailor man to have him on the coast.
Completely.
It's weird. You know how we normally try and blow shit wide open? We seem to have closed shit wide shut there.
Yeah,
I like it. That's what we should do. Close shit wide shut.
Just on chicken rubbing specifically, there is an Orthodox Jewish ritual called kaparot, where you wave a rooster over someone's head and you say a particular prayer, and then you slaughter the rooster and you give the slaughtered rooster to charity, and it's an atonement ritual for whoever's having the chicken waved
Do you
around.
rub it on their heads, or you?
I don't think you rub it specifically, you just sort of waft it around above them. But maybe the whiffle hen is a very subtle reference to the traditional Jewish kaparot ritual.
Yeah, could be.
It's almost certainly not.
There's also there was an old English bit of folklore where if you wanted to stop your baby from getting chicken pox, you would rub it with a chicken. So it could have been that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm so glad we're on chicken rubbing stuff because I actually did quite a lot of sort of chicken rubbing work.
A personal anecdote coming up.
Well, so chickens will sometimes flirt with each other by rubbing themselves on the ground.
Okay.
So, So there's this thing called preening oil, which comes out of a kind of gland above the beak, and it contains lots of information about the bird's genes and about it, how suitable it is as a mate and things like that. And so sometimes a cockerel will wipe itself on the ground, for example, to just leave its scent for a prospective
Like
mate.
a genome sequencing act. It leaves its genome sequence on the ground
Kind of,
for the male to look at and say, oh, you're not prone to sickle cell anemia. Thank God.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
The Etruscans used to rub chickens.
So glad we're doing all this chicken rubbing stuff. This is great. Go on.
So the Etruscans, and then the Romans after them, but they used chickens for divination. They thought they were kind of quite holy. And for good luck, you would get a chicken. It was always a dead chicken that you would rub, but you would rub it for good luck. And that's probably where we get the idea of the wishbone from these guys as well. You cook a chicken, you get the bone out. They used to rub those little bones for luck as well.
Oh.
And that's why we do that.
Now we just snap them.
Now we just snap them. Well,
Rub it too hard. You don't want that to happen in most rubbing situations.
so they get snapped.
The hen in Popeye. Sorry to stop us.
I've just got one more chicken rubbing.
Of course you do. Yeah. No, please get it out. I'd hate the listener to miss out on your
I was
golden
reading
research.
Appalachian chicken rubbing rituals, and I just thought that would be a nice thing. So there are lots of Kentucky wart superstitions. When you have a wart.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know what a Kentucky wart is though.
It's deep fried, isn't it?
There are so many traditions or superstitions about what you do with your wart to make it disappear in Kentucky specifically.
Really?
Yeah. So, it's mostly rub something on it. So, it might be a chicken gizzard or a chicken intestine, but also bacon rind, or beefsteak, or one bean, or three beans.
Just don't accidentally rub two beans in it, whatever you do.
No.
When you come out in
You
wart,
get double warts, yeah. Kill a cat, bad start. Take it to a graveyard at midnight, and then rub the cat on the wart. Gets rid of the wart.
It feels like you go with the one bean out.
It's a sort of step change process. You try one bean and three beans, then you kill a cat and take it to a graveyard. Anyway.
you were going to say on Popeye.
Sorry, Popeye, yeah.
I wanted to drag it back to Popeye, apparently.
No, that's fine. Let's do more rubbing chickens. What else you got?
Oh, sure. Thank you, Dad. Well,
Okay, back. Sorry, my mistake. So in the cartoon, we've got this mystical chicken, but it's not the only...
In the comic strip.
Sorry, in the comic strip, and it's not the only animal in the comic strip that had these sort of paranormal, mystical powers. There was also a dog called Eugene the Jeep, and this was in a 1936 Thimble Theatre comic strip, and that's what Popeye was part of.
I don't think he was a dog per se. He looked like a dog.
We don't fully know what he was, and it led to one of the most existential, brilliant comic strips that I think the creator ever wrote. The headline of it was, "What's a Jeep?" Eugene the Jeep. What's a Jeep? And this is what the comic strip for kids said. A Jeep is an animal living in a three-dimensional world, in this case, our world, but really belongs to a fourth-dimensional world. Here's what happened. A number of Jeep life cells were somehow forced through a dimensional barrier into our world. They combined at a favorable time with the life cells of the African Hui hound. The electrical vibrations of that Hui hound cell and the foreign cell were the same. They are a kind of kindred cell. In fact, all things are to some extent relative, whether they be this or some other world. Now you see. For what? For 6-year-olds, that is.
He was based on a Polish person, wasn't he? Which again, I imagine Popeye was. Which I imagine they'd have had to cover up when they wanted there to be none of these communist influences. But this guy sounds like a bit of a legend. Frank Rocky Fiegel, who was from Seagar's hometown. So he lived in Chester, Illinois, which is where Seagar came from. But his parents were Polish immigrants. And there's one remaining photo of him, and he does look like Popeye, but it's very hard to tell because he's basically got a pipe and he's bald. And
I think he definitely looks like Popeye.
he looks like Popeye, and he was constantly getting into fights, and which basically is what Popeye does, right? He smokes, he gets into fights.
Well, he was a boxer, wasn't he? I think.
He was a boxer, and a nice guy though. Constantly starting fights, but a nice guy and always protected the children.
We're talking about the sailor now, right?
We're talking about Fiegel,
Okay,
the sailor. And apparently, according to his biographies...
Sorry, the Popeye is a sailor as well.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
He did actually say at the very start, Popeye the Sailor.
Yeah, quite specifically. You see why I added it now,
And actually, this guy wasn't a sailor.
The Polish... What?
No, he wasn't a sailor. He was just a down-and-out guy.
A guy who liked getting into fights is the inspiration.
Yeah.
Okay, didn't spend so much time checking out rubbish chicken.
But he used to get sent money, apparently. His assistant, Seagal's assistant, said they used to send him a little bit of money to say thanks for inspiring the character of Popeye.
Wow.
Yeah, Seagar said this to the Randolph County Herald newspaper that it was based on this guy. And there was another person in the town called John William Schuchert, who was supposedly what Wimpy was based on.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, Wimpy, the character who's like, gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today and all that. He's always in debt, he's always eating hamburgers. And according to this historian, John William Schuchert also liked hamburgers. Interesting.
Open a shot case. Shut this shit right closed.
His name means joke, sweetly. Fiegel, Figiel.
Oh, yeah.
His name is prank or joke. Which is kind of what Popeye is.
It's pretty funny.
A comic strip. What kind of comedy?
No, there is a serious point behind Popeye.
Yeah.
So there was a psychoanalytic piece done about him in an American paper in 1932. this is a paper called the Post-Dispatch, which was a really, really famous paper at the time. You may not realise it, but Popeye is a suppressed desire. He personifies the desire most of us have, both to be strong and to sock some of the unpleasant people we encounter. A desire suppressed because we lack Popeye's muscles.
Although Popeye himself says he would never hit anyone as hard as he could, because it's wrong to kill people. There's actually quite a sweet...
Wait, the cartoon character now.
Yeah, the cartoon character. Yeah.
Okay.
The cartoon character wrote a letter to a paper in the 1930s saying, and I suppose Seagal probably helped him write it, saying he'd never hit anyone as hard as he could because it's wrong to kill people, and he said he's been shot 120 times, but when bullets go through him, it doesn't bother him at all, except that he always has to block up the hole with a corpse. He doesn't like drafts blowing through him.
People complained about the fighting because he was teaching kids to fight. So after that, he carried on fighting, but only for the honour of old ladies and children. Later strips.
Children have honour?
Yeah.
I guess so. Original honour.
Alright, yeah.
All ladies have.
But he was really positive for spinach eating at the time.
Yeah.
There were reports, and I don't know how accurate they were, but during the Great Depression, they said that the uptake in children who were interested in eating food like spinach, more specifically spinach, was 33%, and that bumped it up to sort of like the third most requested food or favourite food in the world during that time.
Yeah, the insane claim is that there was a survey done which asked children what they like to eat. Their first thing was turkey, and their second thing was ice cream, and then they claimed spinach.
Yeah.
Which all seems very implausible.
And then Popeye, later on in the cartoons, he stopped eating the spinach directly out of the can. So you know he would like squeeze the can, but apparently they were worried that children might copy this, might get a can of spinach and eat directly from it and cut their mouths, so he stopped doing it. Yeah.
I think I would have done, actually. I think that's fair.
I need the results right next time.
Can we mention very quickly the madness of the film Popeye?
Oh yeah,
Which
Robin
is
Williams.
just one thing about it, so it's a Robin Williams film, 1980, and it's not very good, apparently. I haven't seen it.
It's absolutely brilliant. I've seen it 5 times. It's really good. It's a classic.
So
Rob
there you
Williams'
go.
first film. It's amazing.
Yeah, agreed. It's great.
It's mad.
Alright,
Very
2 against
It's
1,
insane.
but I have better taste. But no, I haven't seen it, so it might be great. But anyway, the crazy thing about it is what it was like to film it. So the producer was a guy called Robert Evans. Everyone who worked on it admits that they were basically rolling in cocaine the entire time. And at one point, and they were all bringing cocaine on set, they'd open up like camera packs, and cocaine would fall out of camera.
I haven't seen this film either, but is that what he does instead of spinach?
Yeah.
Yes, it is, yeah. And Robert Evans had luggage that was full of cocaine that he was bringing with him to the set. And it went missing at the airport, as bags sometimes do. And he thought, oh shit, A, we're not going to get our coat, and B, if someone finds that luggage, I'm in trouble. And so what he did was, he basically convinced the Maltese Prime Minister at the time, a guy called Dominic Mintoff, to do an exhaustive search of basically the country to try and find his bag. And so Mintoff said, why on earth would I do that? And he said, well, I'm very good friends with Henry Kissinger, and Kissinger's written you a personal note, which is inside that luggage. And I'd really love to give it to you. So it's really important that we track it down so you can read his lovely letter. So he did. His ego was flattered enough. He tracked it down to him, and then immediately, as soon as he'd done it, Robert Evans had to fly back to the US, meet up with Henry Kissinger, and say, look, Henry, I'm so sorry, but you have to write a fake letter to the leader of Malta saying what a great guy he is. Long story short, cocaine luggage situation. And Kissinger was very reluctant because Mintoff was an ally of Gaddafi. It would have been very weird for him to write an affectionate letter, but he capitulated to save the shit/good film. He wrote a fake letter.
Well, it sounds like you just wrote a letter.
He wrote a
If
letter.
you're Henry Kissinger and you are writing a letter, that's a letter.
I guess it's, but he backstated it.
Oh, okay, that is.
Oh yeah.
It's fakery. It's mad.
I've just got a few more facts about chicken rubbing.
We don't have time, I think. Stop the podcast! Stop the podcast! Hi everyone, we'd like to let you know that this week we are sponsored by Squarespace.
Yes, Squarespace is what you need if you have a brilliant idea that you want to transform into a brilliant website.
Absolutely. You might have something to sell. You might want to sell yourself. By which I mean, you might be a content creator. You might want to sell the ideas that you make, not anything other than that.
Or you might want to sell your own body parts. If you've got a finger that you don't need that much, sure, put it on Squarespace.
Sure. But the good thing about Squarespace, just glossing over that, is the amazing things that it allows you to do with your website. They have a video studio, for example, so you can make pro-level videos with very little effort. They have email campaigns. You can send out emails to your followers. They have all sorts of stuff.
They have member areas, so if you have your website, you can monetize your content by having a specific VIP area.
They don't have dismember areas, luckily enough, so...
They don't. You can probably add one of those. It really is the best place to go if you need to start a website. It has all the tools that you need. And if you go to squarespace.com/fish, you'll get a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, if you use the offer code FISH, you'll save 10% of your first purchase of a website or domain.
That's right. So save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain and get a free trial by going to squarespace.com/fish and using the offer code FISH when you're ready to launch. Okay, not on with the podcast.
No, because once you've made your website, you're going to be pretty tired and you'll probably want to lie down on one of Emma's mattresses.
That's right, because this week we are also sponsored by Emma. Now, Emma are a brilliant mattress company, and one of the best things about them is they have free shipping and returns, and they give you up to 200 nights of trial sleep. So you can try it out for 200 nights. You can read 1/5 of the 1001 Arabian Nights, one story each night, and then if at the end you're not satisfied, you can return your mattress.
Yes, that's right, and they really are super comfortable. So I got one a couple of months ago. I have slept in it a couple of times, had a number of guests sleeping in it. Very strong reports. also slept in it a couple of times. Sounds like I'm having some kind of breakdown in my relationship. Let's not go into that. But yeah, and they've obviously got, great pillows, mattress toppers, beds, duvets, and there are various bundles available. First of all, if you go to en4cer666.co.uk/fish, you'll be able to save 5% on top of all other offers.
That's right. They have special German engineering, we should add as well, because who sleeps better than the Germans? So, if you would like to save 5% on top of all the offers that are already there at Emma, then like Anna says, go to emma-sleep.co.uk/fish and you can get 2 nights risk-free. Okay, now, Shaw, on with the podcast.
On with the podcast.
It is time for fact number 2, and that is Anna.
My fact this week is that Marcel Proust once woke up the members of a famous string quartet at midnight and made them all come back to his house to play a specific piece for him.
Cool.
It's such a cool thing to be able to do. And this is before he was even really famous.
What? So yeah, I mean, how did he?
He just, I guess, people were more willing to do shit back in the day.
It was sort of pre-telephones, right? Period.
Yeah,
Point where not everyone's got a telephone.
Well, no one's calling them. Yeah, he's going around to their house.
Yeah, so 4 individual houses in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Ring them up.
It's 11 p.m. He loved chamber music.
It's crazier than the Kiss Me letter. I don't know how you would organise it.
Basically, 11 p.m. he thought, I'd love to listen to César Franck's string quartet in D major, and nothing will stop me. And so he knocked on the door of the leading French violinist in Paris at the time, Gaston Poulet, who was in his pajamas, and answered the door. And Proust said, I've got a taxi waiting downstairs. We're going to pick up your 3 mates, and you're going to play me this piece. And so, yeah, he went around all their houses. One of them, the violist, was sceptical, apparently, because Proust was wrapped in a big blanket and he was eating mashed potato the whole time in his cab. But they all got in.
Proust has a very weird life.
So,
That's who he is, yeah.
So, author of one of the greatest, certainly one of the longest novels ever written, À la recherche de temps perdu, In Search of Lost Time, and, just that. That's sort of his main thing, because he spent a long time writing it and then he died.
Eccentric in that his eccentricity is sort of half born out of illness that he had in his life, but he famously wrote all his books in bed. He rarely went to sleep. He was allergic to dust. He was allergic to so many things. He had cork walls on his room at home because he tried to keep out any allergies he was getting to it.
He had really bad asthma, didn't he? When he took cigarettes for.
Yeah.
Classic.
I read he had up to 10 asthma attacks a day, each one lasting up to an hour.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable that he wrote one of the longest books ever written, considering how much time he spent having asthma, basically.
Yeah. But that was the thing back then. You would get these cigarettes, and they would have like opium in them and stuff. So they weren't that bad, but they were going into your lungs. But yeah, and you said about telephone stamps. So they did have telephone stamps. They weren't obviously popular, but it was the time. Do you remember we talked about this music that used to play through the telephone?
Yeah, that's right. In America, it's like the first Spotify. Right?
Exactly. And they had this in France. Proust had it because he was in bed the whole time.
Wow.
So he had these kind of wires set up to earpiece, and he was listening to music.
So hang on, when he woke up the members of the string quartet, he literally had functioning opera coming into his room.
It wasn't that functioning, to be honest. Okay. Like, there was one time when
Hello?
it was really loud.
What can I do for you?
He thought that wasn't
I take it this isn't purely a social call. Of course not. You're in trouble and you need my help. No problem.
But this was called the theatrophone, and it was very popular in France at the time. Also very popular in Budapest. And there was Harper's Weekly that this in Budapest had made it a city that was full of illiterate, blind, bedridden, and Europe-based people. Because they were all at home just listening to the music.
That feels like quite a personal, bit of a subtly on Proust himself. I mean, that's what he was.
Well, it was a little bit, yeah. I think they were more slugging off the entire city of Budapest, but yeah.
So Proust's habit, what he did. So he went to bed in 1909. He basically stayed there until 1922.
22, I think so, yeah.
And he wrote for 13 years. And one of and also he couldn't get a publisher. He wrote the first volume, really struggled to get it published. No publishers were interested. He had to self-publish it, at his own expense. I think he'd inherited quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
He was quite well-heeled. And there was one person who believed in him and championed the work and wrote a lot of brilliant,
Dude, it's fucking weird.
things.
It's like a landing strip in the desert.
Changing the face of literature. And that person was Marcel Proust. Under an assumed name. Really? Paid for his own early reviews in lots of newspapers.
No way.
And he wrote them in longhand, and then he secretly had them typed up by his publisher, so there was no paper trail. And he described his own work as a little masterpiece. He said, what Monsieur Proust sees and feels completely original.
I always think of it as the French trying to get one up on the British and Irish, because I feel like we have James Joyce, and there's this impenetrable, 1,000+ page tome that we all attempt to get through at some point, and then mostly fail. And then they have Proust, where they just did that, and then he wrote 6 more volumes exactly the same on top of it.
Well, I think Proust came first, or certainly
Yeah.
his first book was published before Joyce.
Yeah.
Because, like Abby says, it was self-published, but he went to a publisher to try and get it published. This guy called Gaston Gallimard, and Gallimard passed it on to a reader, and the reader it was really long, so he just opened it up on a random page 62, and what he found was a boring and overwritten description of a cup of herbal tea. So he declined it, and then Proust had to do the self-publishing thing. But then, 10 years later, Gallimard got another novel. It was a very long Irish novel, and it was James Joyce's. So
Because I really regretted it for years, like the guy who turned down the Beatles.
he apologised, he did apologise.
They did meet once.
James Joyce.
Yeah, 1922, which was the year that he died. But it was one of the few times he actually went out. I think he went to a dinner party, and James Joyce was there. And then all I know is I think James Joyce got quite pissed and tried to invite himself back to Proust's house, and Proust had to sneak away. But do you have more details?
Well, all I've read about the encounter is that they hadn't actually read each other's books.
Oh, yeah.
One of the encounter of 2 of the greatest minds ever. They had nothing to say.
That's so funny. It was a guy, before he wrote his mega series of books, he translated a couple of books. Ruskin, he was a fan of Ruskin, right? And when Ruskin passed away, Proust decided that he wanted to make
Have a
French
full moon
translation
party in the
of his
desert.
book. Except
Interested?
he didn't speak any English. So he had to ask his mum to translate it for him. And then he did a proper, better translation of his mum's translation of the book.
God, he bloody loved his mum. My God. If anyone's a mummy's boy, yes, because he lived with his parents until they both died, which is fine. And he used to write letters to his mum's bed when he couldn't sleep, saying, Mother, I'm so sorry I won't be able to get up and spend breakfast with you, and nothing would make me happier.
2,000 pages later.
But his dad was quite strange, and subjected him to this quite strange experience when he was about 16, which was that he was very worried about his son Marcel's masturbation, and
Too much, not enough.
Yeah.
I just didn't think he was doing enough.
Doing it weird.
I thought you'd have this back. Love the rubbing cock fact.
There were no chickens were involved, but he was a doctor, Dr. Adrian Proust, and it was a time when people thought masturbation was bad, and Dr. Proust thought that it could lead to homosexuality, because Proust was gay in fact, and so I think that his parents might have thought, oh God, we think he might be gay, and so they said to cure him, when he was 16, his dad gave him 10 francs, sent him to a brothel, and said, here you go, have sex with a prostitute, female please, and that will stop this awful masturbation habit.
10 francs?
Yeah,
How much that is it? I don't know.
Well, back in the day, you're not going to splash out on the first experience. It's
Don't be disgusting,
Well, speaking of which, he didn't. It was a failure. This is why we know about it, because Marcel Proust wrote a letter to his grandfather the next day saying, I'm really sorry, I need to borrow 13 francs off you. Papa gave me 10 francs so I can get rid of this dreadful masturbation habit. But what I did was I turned up, I broke the prostitute's 3-franc chamber pot. Embarrassing. And then I was so embarrassed that I couldn't perform. And so now I need to go back and try again, but I also need to pay her for her chamber pot. So... Poor guy.
We have this impression of him as very sort of ill and you know, like constantly retiring to bed. He didn't once find a duel in his life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it was over something that mattered him a lot. He fought a duel when someone accused him of being gay, of having had a gay affair. And his accuser was a pretty critic called Jean Lorraine, who was also gay. So, to be clear, two gay guys having a duel because one of them said to the other, "You are gay."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they both survived, didn't they?
They both survived. They both shot and they both missed. Marcel shot first. It went in the sort of region of his feet, but didn't get him, and the other guy missed outright. But you kind of, I guess, have to think about the times.
Of
and
course.
He was outing him for something that might have got him killed anyway, for being homosexual. Maybe his dad having written what he wrote. So yeah, it was a tough. He had a tough life, didn't he? Marcel.
Yeah. He once diagnosed himself with a brain disorder and said that the only way to cure it was by drilling loads of holes into his skull.
Oh,
And
Did
so
he do that?
he begged a doctor to do it, and the doctor, quite responsible for doctors at the time, said, "I'm not going to do that."
Yeah. Well, in fairness, that's around 1910. That was standard. That was they were trepanning around that time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That someone won a Nobel Prize for it.
That's right. They did. Yeah.
The main character in La Recherche du Temps Perdu is going to be the Madeleine. So the whole point of it is, not the whole point, but at the very start, he's kind of got this Madeleine cake, and he has a bite of it, and suddenly he remembers all the history and things that happened because it evokes such a memory from him. So I thought I'd look into Madeleine.
Oh yeah.
Apparently invented by a young girl called Madeleine, who stood in for the chef, Duke of Lorraine. We're not quite sure why, but the chef wasn't there, and they were like, "You, in!" And she only knew one recipe, and that was her grandmother's recipe for cakes, and so that's all she made. And so she just made loads and loads and loads of these, and they were named after her, apparently. And in 2006, there was a thing called Café Europa. It was an EU thing, where every country in Europe had to give their best cake or their best sweet thing, and then they would sort of celebrate them all. And France gave the Madeleine.
Really? Because they're quite crap.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're just. Do you guys know what they are? They're like little sponge cake. You would have had one. They're just so boring.
You idiot, Dan. Of course you've had one. Ironically, they're very easy to forget.
They're like a tiny little sponge cake.
They're shaped like a scallop. Scallop. A shell, you know, a seashell. They're shaped like that.
Yeah.
And but in the original book, it wasn't. It was a bit of toast originally. I thought this needs a rewrite. Yeah.
I just wondered if you wanted to guess some other countries and what they did for their
Oh my
sweet.
God, yeah. I mean, because France is the land of cakes.
Exactly.
You know, the eclair. Well, I would have submitted the eclair.
Well, you didn't. And
Yeah.
they didn't.
Yeah. Did they win? Did they win with the Madeleine?
It wasn't a competition. It was just like,
What's the point of it then? What is it?
what's the point of anything if it isn't a competition?
I
You know,
agree.
this isn't a competition, Andy. No one wins this out of the four of us.
It's ridiculous. We've been scoring for the last 450 episodes.
I'm definitely confident.
I actually can't imagine Andy going home and having a little whiteboard. Another great win, Andy. Well done.
Sole metric is the number of chicken rubbing references made throughout the show. Okay, so what did other countries submit?
They're all relatively easy to guess. Belgium.
It has to be a sweet thing.
Croissant.
Croissants in Belgium.
Sweet chips. Sweet chips. honey fried.
Waffles. Portugal, pastel de nata.
Wait, don't give it all away. Don't give it all away.
Well, I just thought we'd go straight maybe to the UK. Can you guess what the UK gave?
Bloody hell. Oh, that sort of pink and Tottenham cake that you get in Greg's. It's very nice. It's so nice.
I don't know what that is. I'm pretty sure it wasn't from Greg.
Okay. Victoria sponge cake.
No. Think north.
Those buns.
Further north.
Scotland.
Sausage roll.
A Scotch egg. They misunderstood the category and they gave a Scotch egg.
A deep fried Mars bar.
A haggis.
A haggis, a sweet haggis.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And sausage roll was fine. And
You said sausage roll.
that was me. It was shortbread.
Oh.
Okay. And Denmark went for the Danish pastry, even though they were invented in Austria.
Ooh.
Sneaky.
And who won?
See, I think the Madeleine bit is really only famous because it's so near the beginning. It's the only bit anyone's got to. Because I have to say, I have read and intend to, when I have a period of time off next year, read properly for À la recherche de Tom Perdu, because I think people are really hard on it. Even at the time they said it was impenetrable, and I think it's really fun to read from the 40 pages I read. But the Madeleine does come up within those 40 pages, and it's not that relevant after that. But it shows how much he agonised over everything. That, as you said, Andy, it was a piece of toast for a bit. It was also a piece of stale bread, which is quite, I don't know why you would eat that.
Was there a sausage roll at one stage?
Okay, it is time for fact number 3, and that is Andy.
My fact is that in the 1920s, a smart young man would have 2 handkerchiefs, a blower and a shower. Yeah.
It's disgusting.
It's disgusting.
Was there a difference between them? Like,
Yes, there is a difference. So I got this from, I was reading an old novel called Greenbanks by Dorothy Whipple, which is great. She's great. And there's a scene in it where there's a young man waiting for his girlfriend, and he talks about having his blower in his shower. And I just piqued my interest. And it's very funny. I googled it, and it's hard to Google. So the shower is the one you have in your top pocket. It's a pocket square that looks incredibly neat and jazzy. And then the blower is the one you keep up your sleeve with all the snot on it. And that's the...
Could the shower become a blower?
Oh, yes.
If you needed to.
Absolutely.
But you couldn't make a blower a shower, could you?
No. You can blow a shower, but you can't show a blower.
That's the old saying.
I disagree. It depends on where you're blowing on the blower. If you blow on the blower and like the top corner and then you fold it down, half of it, it's like an iceberg shower. There's a lot of it below the surface area.
Well, okay.
Sure, don't blow on the show bit of your blower.
But it could start to come through the pocket, like...
What?
If you've got enough... If you've got that cold, then... You don't want snot seeping out of the bottom of your pocket with the shower proudly seeping out the top.
No, that's true. Yeah.
I say keep them separate.
I say keep them separate. Dan's the one who's proposed this maverick system where you can... but it's rare, this usage of these phrases, but it did exist at the time. It crops up in the New York Times in 1927, and it's a report about the handkerchief being something from ancient China, originally, but that those handkerchiefs were only showers, not blowers.
And it didn't used to be for that, did it? We only actually started blowing anything into handkerchiefs in about 400 years ago. I know it seems like a long time ago, but we had handkerchiefs long before that, or kerchiefs, which it's just a word for something that wraps around your head, in fact.
A headkerchief?
Well, this is what's so weird. A kerchief is literally a head covering.
All right,
head
these drops are
covering. And so now we have a hand-head covering. Is the word.
Is a head covering you hold in your hand, basically.
Yeah. I always thought that kerchief, when people say it, as they often do, was an abbreviation of handkerchief. Didn't know it'd gone the other way.
Yeah. We know the first person possibly who blew their nose on a handkerchief.
Kidding, really?
Well, we know the first person who wrote about it.
Okay.
And this was a guy called Desiderius Erasmus. We have mentioned once or twice before.
The philosopher.
The philosopher and religious scholar, but he also, we have said this before, he wrote a best-selling book on etiquette, and at one stage it was the best-selling book in the whole of Europe for dozens and dozens, if not 100 years after the Bible, basically the Bible and then this. And in this book it said stuff like, do not be afraid of vomiting. It is not vomiting, but holding vomit in your throat that's foul.
I slightly disagree.
Okay. Well, let's see if it's...
Having been up and down some high streets on an early Sunday morning, sometimes you do wish people had held it in their throat a bit.
He also said, if you cannot swallow a piece of food, turn around discreetly and throw it somewhere.
No, that is good advice. That's good.
And finally, do not move back and forth on your chair. Whoever does that gives the impression of constantly breaking or trying to break with. Just a etiquette.
I think it was him, who said, because this was just about the time when handkerchiefs were starting to be blown noses on, have noses blown on them. And so some did and some didn't. And he said, if you need to blow your nose, you can do it on the floor, not a table.
On the floor?
Yeah.
Blow your nose on the...
Oh, right.
Oh, I
So
see.
put your fingers through your nostril and blow it into the director's side.
Yeah, sorry, you don't have to rub your face against the floor.
yeah, exactly.
But he said if it is visible, you do have to keep stepping over it and on it until it's gone away.
Yeah. He was basically, because people were doing that or wiping out their clothes, and he said this was an improvement, which I think even Andy will admit.
Yeah. Well, the handkerchief.
Yeah.
Definitely improvement.
No, but blowing on the floor compared to blowing on your clothes. Because I would say I'd probably do a double blow into my cuff rather than onto the floor. Wouldn't you?
Depends on the scale of the blow.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, completely. Sounds like with your handkerchief, it's a dangerous maneuver. There was a thing that I read, which is that there was a period when people weren't carrying two handkerchiefs on. But third, this was actually as part of defense against bullets. So what this was is, in the late 1800s, there was a physician called George E. Goodfellow. He lived in Tucson, Arizona, or certainly was there at the time. And there was a postmortem that was done on a man who'd been shot. And there was a silk handkerchief in his breast pocket, and they realized that the silk handkerchief had significantly helped for the bullet to penetrate less. It was like, wow, that dented the force at which it went. So he thought, what if we dressed in lots of handkerchiefs? Then we would never die. So he invented what was such a chaotic, premature bulletproof vest, whereby you wore 30 layers of handkerchiefs on your body. Yeah, and I think it worked. I think people were shocked.
It did until he got a really heavy cold that he just happened to keep pulling on. Became less safe.
Did people actually wear it, or was it just him trying to market his?
It was him just experimenting with the idea of bulletproof vests and didn't need to be metal plated, which is what everyone was using at this point. The problem is 30 handkerchief vests weigh much more than a metal plated, so
But it is
impractical.
It is why no Morris doctor has ever been shot. They've got the skills to move the handkerchief into position at the right time. The handkerchief.
Yeah.
The word hanky-panky.
Oh, okay. Is it related to handkerchiefs?
It has nothing to do with handkerchiefs.
It's not short for handkerchief.
No, it's not.
Can it be now?
I just imagine Andy going back home to his life, a little bit of handkerchief.
I'm only wearing 27 layers of handkerchiefs tonight, Johnny. Oh.
Is there a fact of that?
Not really. Well, it's that hanky-panky has nothing to do with sex. It's just that it's completely originally meant juggling or trickery.
Still not to do with handkerchiefs because you would think
Still nothing to do with hankies. It's maybe related to hocus pocus.
Right.
Hocus pocus, hanky-panky.
That's a very sleazy magician. Sorry.
Hocus pocus, hanky-panky. Have you guys heard of the Valsalva effect? The Valsalva effect is something that we've probably all done. We must have all done this, which is when your ears are blocked, or you're on a plane and you're descending. It's that action of holding your nose and holding your mouth and blowing to get your ears popping, right? So
Well, you do to equalise as well, isn't it?
yeah. So it's the opposite of blowing your nose. You're sucking in. You're using the pressure that's shooting in. So that's used for a number of things. It's for relieving your ears. It's for people with abnormal heart rhythms. They use it to relieve chest pain. They say if you do have abnormal heart problems, that you should always consult a doctor before doing that, just to make sure that you don't make the situation worse. But another thing that it's used for is for people who suffer from premature ejaculation.
Oh, really? Because I have very bad sinuses and have I literally do that Valsalva effect, I would say about 20 times a day.
Right.
I don't want to know what personal link you're making to what it is.
I want to know what's coming.
Not you. Manager. Yeah, so pretty exciting.
Well, so you're supposed to do that mid-set?
I think I couldn't see where they said if it was before or during, but I imagine it's during, and I'm not sure how you can disguise that as a sexy thing. So next time you're having handkerchief at home, try it out and let us know if it's before or during that it's required.
Yeah.
They are sexy things, though, aren't they? They were used for sexy purposes back in the day. In the 19th century, they were another one of these things where there was a whole language behind handkerchiefs that lovers could use to convey messages to each other. And there's actually a book, we've talked before, I think, about the language of flowers. If you sent flowers in a certain arrangement, it meant different things. Fans, the language of fans, if your fan is 3 quarters open, it means I'd like a hand job but not a blow job, or whatever. Although it's usually the woman with the fan, so actually, anyway.
You're an absolute menace in the summer, aren't you, Anna?
Actually, what if you just want to keep cool? Big pants on. There's a book published in 1879 called A Complete Guide to Flirtation, containing handkerchief, glove, fan and parasol flirtations, and a complete language of flowers. So we have to assume everyone memorised this at the time, so they understood what each other was saying. But drawing a handkerchief across your forehead, you know what that means?
Sweaty.
Yeah.
It either means you're sweating profusely or it means we are being watched. So don't jump me. Across the cheeks was I love you.
Face cheeks.
The face cheeks, yes.
It's worth knowing. Yeah.
It doesn't
This is where
actually...
the problems can come if you don't know.
I didn't actually note down the after cheeks one, so you'll have to just decide yourself. Through the hands, if you're talking to someone, they weave a handkerchief through their hands.
Oh yeah.
I hate you.
Oh, really? Wow.
Horrible.
So, there was another one later in the 1970s, which was in the LGBTQ community, and you might wear different handkerchiefs or bandanas, and the colour might tell you what your fetish was. So if you're in a club with like-minded people, it would tell them what you're thinking. Also, cartoon characters tend to wear handkerchiefs and bandanas around their necks because necks are quite hard to draw. And so,
Oh no.
They're not.
Fred Flintstone wears a light blue sort of cloth around his neck. Apparently he's into fellatio. I'll rattle through these. Fred from Scooby-Doo, red, fisting, and Captain Pugwash, light cream, rimming. So, it's just, if they happen to be in the club, then that's what will happen.
Wow.
Stop the podcast!
Stop the podcast.
Hi Anna, would you like to learn French, Spanish, Italian, German, Polish, any other languages like that?
Oui. But I don't need to, because that's yes in French, so...
Si, it is indeed oui in French, because si is oui in Spanish. Anyway.
We've got to stop saying we.
We've got to stop saying we, because this week we are not sponsored by we are sponsored by Babbel. Babbel, the incredible app and website that helps you to learn a second, third, fourth or fifth language.
Yeah, it's really good. So I had such a great time trying to learn Polish through Babbel. It has little 15-minute lessons which are designed to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a language. So lots of research done. It's based on that. You get to have interactive conversations with native speakers. I mean, they're not there live in the moment. They've got lives to lead, but they've got recordings from native speakers, so you can have a sort of fake friend, a fake Polish friend, if you will, helping you out.
Yeah, it's amazing, because other apps, they might just have robots talking. So, for instance, I did try and learn Italian from one of those apps, and all I learned was, can someone please change my oil?
Wow. And now I want to challenge you to say that.
Absolutely,
But I'm not
going to happen.
going to. I really do recommend it very highly. And also, if you go to babbel.com/podcast22, that's 22, and use the promo code NOFISH, you will get an extra 3 months for free on top of the purchase of a 3-month subscription.
That's right. So for listeners of Fish, you get 3 months free with a purchase of a 3-month subscription by going to Babbel, BABBEL.com/podcast22. That's numbers 22, and use the promo code NOFISH. Babbel, language learning that works. Okay, on with the podcast.
On with the show.
Okay, it's time for our final fact of the show, and that is James.
Okay, my fact this week is that in the 1960s, owners of a theme park in Pennsylvania had guards with plastic bats in their Tunnel of Love ride who were instructed to give an admonishing thwack to any fair bugs that they saw.
Cover that with a handkerchief now!
So wow. It's a true thing that happened. In actual fact, it didn't just happen in Pennsylvania, it happened in places.
And when you're saying plastic bats, I'm thinking of table tennis bats. I'm not thinking of a plastic winged mammal bats.
I have seen that they are table tennis bats.
Nice.
Some of them were actually almost in the shape of a hand. You know, like one of those big sort of foam hands.
Yeah.
Just plastic. And they would whack the bums like that.
Oh,
and
wow.
it's because they didn't want people making out all worse in their tunnels of love.
No handkerchief.
No. So this is an article. Originally I read this in Mental Floss, which is an online magazine. And I followed it up and found an article in the Pittsburgh City paper. This is about a place called Kennywood Theme Park. And there is a ride there called the Old Mill. It was constructed in 1901. It's the oldest roller coaster in the whole place. And it's one of these, you know, like a log flume, where you're going in the water, but there's no up and down bits. You're just kind of slowly going round in the water, and there's like things to see on the side. So there might be scary things, there might be skeletons, or there might be sexy things or whatever. Yeah, fair enough. And then I found this YouTuber called Defunct Lab, and he's done a video on this, and it's one of the best videos I've ever seen in my entire life on YouTube. It's all about this place, and he found an article from 1934 saying that this Tunnel of Love was a really good place for people to make out. And he found other tunnels of love where people were whacking their bums. And he asked people, have you or anyone you know ever kissed or had sex on the Tunnel of Love in Kennywood? And he tweeted saying that I have received the most explicit, disgusting and shocking emails I have ever read.
Really?
So this was really, and there are newspaper articles from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, even all of them saying this is the place to go and make out. This is where kids make out. This is so famous for that.
It's only 6 minutes long, the ride.
Yeah.
4 minutes more than I need, buddy.
Well, I've got a technique with a nose.
I wonder for how many people who got slapped on the butt by the ping pong paddle, that turned into a sort of exciting new fetish that they didn't realise.
I think there might have been a bit of that.
There must have been so many Christmases where like the partner was going, yeah, I bought some ping pong paddles. I don't know, I just want to get into the sport, you know. There's no reason.
Can I say something incredibly boring about this theme park, Kennywood?
Yeah.
So it was a trolley park originally, and a few weeks ago on the podcast we mentioned trams.
Yeah.
That episode hasn't gone out yet, but we will have recently mentioned trams.
And what's a trolley park?
I'm so glad you asked, Jack. A trolley park is a miniature adventure park or a park with rides that's put at the end of a trolley line. So trolley is just an American word for a tram, basically.
Yeah.
And it was to encourage people to use the trolley car network at weekends.
So you would normally use them to get to work, but at the weekend they weren't being used, so they put something to attract people.
Oh, okay. Exactly. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I just thought we were all having so much fun, and I just wanted to talk about tram infrastructure.
No, it's a good palate cleanser. That's a good idea, yeah.
Any more on this? Oh, no.
Well, there's just one other ride that there was at Kennywood in the early days, which was, sorry, not a ride. Well, there was one thing, an attraction called the House of Mystery, but no one knows what it was.
Did no one ever come out of it?
It's been lost to history, unfortunately. And there was one thing called spring water, which was just a water fountain, stream of water coming from a spring. There was a tin cup that you used to get a drink. But they had electrocuted the water, so that you would just get an electric shock. That was entertainment. Yeah. Anyway.
These rides are tunnels of love, which you don't really see much anymore.
No.
In fact, I don't think I've ever seen one myself, a fairground ride or a theme park or whatever.
There's a few like in the UK.
Yeah. But they're basically equivalent of rides that we've all seen at parks where you essentially get on them when you can't be asked to keep one of the good rides again, and so you just sit on this really slow, boring boat. And so they were often haunted rides that were converted to tunnels of love or vice versa, weren't they? So I think this one at Kennywood went on to become Hard-Headed Harold's horrendously humorous haunted hideaway.
That's right.
Sounds like a worse ride.
They also branded it as a Panama Canal. So you would go down here and it's this view going along the Panama Canal. Which it is, but the Panama Canal is literally just a canal. There's no fun stuff on either side.
No, you're right.
And then in the end it was rebranded as Garfield's Nightmare Ride. All of these Yeah,
or President James Garfield.
who ate everything through his anus for the last 3 months of his life.
Yeah. Weird ride, but yeah, so what a ride.
This guy Debunkland, who did this amazing video, he said that he thinks after getting all these emails that there are only 2 people who were conceived on that ride.
Oh, great, really?
Yeah, and Kennywood Theme Park now uses the slogan, "Welcome to the family."
Oh.
But that's just a coincidence.
Yeah. The Tunnel of Love, really. I think I read something saying there used to be hundreds, as in maybe 700 across the USA.
Yeah.
The USA is big, but that is a lot of Tunnels of Love. Yeah. But it all sort of sadly came to an end because of the sexual revolution.
Yeah.
You know,
well, that's the thing.
society became liberalised.
Yeah.
So basically, you could snog in public. You didn't have to go into a tunnel.
Yeah.
And because they were such a shit ride, that was really the only good thing about them.
Right. Yeah. Another strike against the sexual revolution.
Do you guys know what was the fastest way to travel in the entire world in 1880?
I'm going to say Tunnel of Love.
That is a ridiculous thing to say. That's so slow.
I know, but everything was slow at the time. Maybe there was a point in 1880 where all trains broke and
all the horses were lame.
died.
Okay. I'm just going to, because I know this sneaky man.
Where's that sneaky?
Is it, was it an underground train system that was one of the first of its kind, underground in Paris, that led to the Louvre? And so it was the Tunnel of Louvre.
The Louvre.
He's not the Riddler. Okay, I'm gonna have a punt. Okay.
Fastest trains at the time, I'll just say, in America they were only about 30 or 40 miles an hour. In the UK, I think we had up to about 60 or 70 miles an hour. I'm talking about something that was going at 112 miles an hour.
And this is public transport.
1880, something you could travel on.
So it wasn't like you jump off, it's because if you jump off the Eiffel Tower or something. And
I wouldn't say jumping off the Eiffel Tower is transport. And in 1880, definitely not.
Another bad commute, darling. Yes. Okay, no, but I think so the Tunnel of Love is a kind of boat ride that you go on.
Yeah.
Is it something like a log flume?
It's exactly a log flume. So, I found an article in the Chicago Herald in 1886 that told of a group of loggers, right? So they're at the top of a mountain, and they created these flumes. They were kind of metal flumes, which they would send the logs down, and they would all go down to the bottom, and that's where they would process them. You cut them at the top, you would send them down. Really, really steep. Now, at the end of the day, all of these workers would get on one of these logs and fly down.
Oh my God.
Okay?
So cool.
There was a quote, and they said, "We all looked at our watches. We had made 16 miles in 8 minutes and 40 seconds." So that is an average speed of 112 miles an hour.
Bloody hell.
They just go down there.
It's so terrifying.
It's
And
absolutely
there was a journalist in 1875, I think, who went to report on the Nevada log flumes. And they look so cool, and there is video footage of the logs going down them, and they could be, they were built really high on scaffolding into the air, like 70 feet in the air, and they were these channels which they zoomed down. And yeah, this journalist said, does anyone ever go down it? And they said, yeah, you can totally do that. Now, I still don't know if the loggers on this one actually did go down it, or they were pranking the journalist, because the journalist said, okay, I will. The 2 owners of the log flume said, all right, well, if you're doing it, I guess we'll do it. And none of the loggers agreed to get in with them. And as they pushed him off, one of the loggers shouted, "A flume has no element of safety. You cannot stop. You cannot lessen your speed. You have only to sit still, shut your eyes, say your prayers, and wait for eternity. Bye."
Smile for the camera.
And that's what the log flume rides are based on those, right? So, yeah.
Wow. I think they've all shut down now, the log flumes, but I think there was one operating relatively recently in Washington, state of Washington, which took an hour to go along. So it might have been a bit slow.
Yeah, they weren't all really steep, just the ones on mountains were.
Lassie went on that one.
Did
An episode of Lassie where Lassie went on a log flume.
Okay, great.
Nice.
Right.
She deserves a break.
Is Lassie a she? Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Ah, Lassie.
It's in the name.
Jane Austen could have gone on a log flume. That's the exciting. One of my main interests is whether Jane Austen could have done any of the tech we talk about.
So she was alive when, but not the ride, the log flume, the actual
tunneled boat ride. So this was a ride actually.
Oh, cool.
It was in France in 1817, which is the year Austin died, so she wouldn't have had a great time on it.
What a way to go.
What a way to go. She died of something completely sort of ordinary and standard, but if she died on a log flume, it would have been
Perfect. It was called the Saut du Niagara, Niagara Falls, and it was a boat which fell down a slope into a basin of water. I mean, it's pretty much right. Yeah. Anyway, Jane Austen.
I haven't read Mansfield Park. Is that about a theme park?
I can't believe you thought of Mansfield Park. I was going through Sense and Sensibility. No, that doesn't work.
Have you guys heard of, there's a sex theme park in South Korea called Loveland? Have you seen it?
No.
It's amazing. I mean, it's a theme park. It's kind of like a sculpture park, and it's just lots of penises and lots of people in positions of sex.
So it's not, you can't ride them, as it were.
No, I don't think so. You can
Just good looking.
Yeah, you can. Well, they do say there's a few hands-on exhibits, such as the masturbation cycle, which is you basically spin a thing and you move their hands for them as part of this exhibit. They're like a statue kind of thing.
Right.
And there's this really weird thing, and I couldn't find anything more about it. I searched quite a bit. It's this giant. It's like a 5-foot tall see-through penis with sort of like computer workings all inside of it, and it's just got a little plaque next to it, and it's got a lot of words in Korean, which obviously I can't read, but then there's only one English word on it as far as I could see. The word is Terminator, and that's I don't know if they're saying that's his particular penis, or if it's a penis of the future coming back to our time to...
Would he have donated his penis? I haven't seen Terminator. Is that the sort of thing that the character would do?
Yeah, I'll be back. Until I'm back, how's this?
Yeah, that's on Jeju Island, isn't it?
Yeah.
And originally Jeju Island was like a honeymoon destination, but it was after the Korean War. There was a lot of arranged marriages, so a lot of the couples never seen each other or really met each other before, and so they would go to this honeymoon destination, and they were really inexperienced. They didn't really know what to do, so they had all the hotels had professional icebreakers who would kind of sit next to you. If you're having dinner at a restaurant and if you're being a bit awkward, they kind of start the conversation.
God, that's a great idea.
Sorry, you would be the worst human on earth as an icebreaker. Did you know there was a phone system on that? Where are you going? Come back. I'm saying I need one, not that I can be one. I don't want to talk about tramps any more than you do. It's all I can think of.
Wow. This really is a cry for help.
Okay, that is it. That is all of our facts. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to get in contact with any of us about the things that we've said over the course of this podcast, we can be found on our Twitter accounts. I'm on @Schreiberland, Andy
Trams.
James
James Harkin.
and Adam.
You can email podcast@qi.com.
Yep, or you can go to our group account, which is @NoSuchThing, or our website, NoSuchThingAsFish.com. All of our previous episodes are up there. You can also find the link to Club Fish, which is our very exciting behind-the-scenes membership club. There's awesome things on there, extra episodes, behind-the-scenes, sort of correspondence episodes and quizzes. There's also access to our Discord, where you can discuss all interesting things, like how Andy would make a great icebreaker, whatever it is you wanted to chat about. And also there's a lot of really fun merch up there, so do go there. I want to thank you so much, Bloomsbury, for this great show. Thank you so much for having us. And
Bay, Short Circuit 2 and Hudson Hawk. It's a hell of a night.
Alright, of those three, if you had to put your money on it, which one holds up the best?
I mean, surely not Short Circuit 2.
Can't be, can it?
It can't be. I was just about to say, no, I think that's the one I thought I wanted to watch the most, but yeah, it's old.
Well, that's got the Fisher Stevens, who's obviously now brilliant in Succession, but it's got the dubious racial character in that.
Yes.
I think
robot.
I think I mean, it should be robot roles for robots, really. But it was the 80s, you know. It was. You go on.
Does he have an insult in that when he's like, "Your mother was a snow pupper"? Yeah. Do you remember that? Yeah. And I never understood. No one understood it. Like, no.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gary. It really tickled me. Just popped back into the head there.
Who says it?
Matthew's gone quite quiet here. We should say my mother was. His mother was. I mean, yeah. It's an honest profession. I should say. Don't drag him through the dirt.
I mean, to be honest, she worked 2-3 days a year in Bromley.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, you know, you bought all the equipment, and then you're just sitting there, you're waiting for the culvert, and it really does.
You're waiting for the cold snap, yeah.
I guess that's why it's an insult, because it's such an idiotic profession.
Your mother doesn't get as much work as she would do if she were living in a different area.
Yeah.
Not the correct, sure.
And if Short Circuit 2 was made nowadays, they'd have to use that as an insult.
Yeah, I mean, I think of the three, Love, Honour and Obey would hold up the best.
That's surely not. That's where, hasn't he got a scene where they all take Viagra and start jabbing each other in their erections? Hudson Hawk, they're just singing songs to do heists. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, it's got Richard Crown in it. You know, it's got a good pedigree, but I still think Love, Honour and Obey is gonna hold up better. But there's only one way to find out. Join us next time.
What would your superhero? Where would you be led, Clark? I mean, like, have you had anything close to a radioactive incident in the last week? Well, actually, I've got a very nasty bite on my shin from what I thought was an insect, but it could have been. I don't know. Is there a plague on them inside the prison?
Yeah. Ever since that lucky voice opened.
The hot weather really drove them in.
So, and can I ask, looking at the bite, Clarky, what's the hair situation around it?
Oh, that's a good point. No, I've still got hair.
That's the weird bit, because I've been bitten by insects before, many times. I'm delicious to insects. You know, insects love me. But if I go on
just insects, mate.
Yeah, thank you. If I go on holiday, I'm getting them. You know, like my ankles, my knuckles, particularly juicy to mosquitoes. Yeah, anywhere where there's like multiple things. You know, like hold on. They can always see that. They can always see that. They can see the veins. You know, like they think, yeah, I'm having a bit of that. Yum.
My wife's the same, but you know what? I get a bit
yeah, something bizarre. Something
that I'm not. Like she's very popular with the mosquitoes. Like she gets a lot of attention, and I get nothing. And I don't be honest, I'm prime rib here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. If I was looking at the two of you, I would think, yeah, I think you're the one who's going to be. You get the most feeling out of you. I could see myself nibbling around your ankles all day, and I have done on tour.
He's a juicy guy.
You're a juicy guy. When our house was last, when our last flat got fleas, Cosmo went from being an indoor cat to being an occasionally outdoor cat and brought fleas into the house. I was the only one, because they typically they travel on animals. They don't really like to travel on humans. And so they didn't affect Cleo, didn't affect my wife at all. I was the only one who got flea bit. But I think might also be due to the fact that I am quite a hairy person. You know, I'm quite a...
So is my wife. No, I think insects are attracted to hair.
No, I'm saying fleas. I'm not a very hairy person. No, I'm saying fleas in that instance are attracted to...
Yeah, you're kind of... Out of the three of us again, I'd say that Tom would be the best to eat, and you would be, the most like a dog.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah. Like if you had to nest somewhere, I think I'd provide you a lot of nesting area. I think I could definitely. There's plenty of different parts of my body which would provide an adequate nest for a parasite.
Sadly, not the back of your hand anymore. But other than that,
it's an absolute landing strip.
I'm going to the pit every time. It must be
Yeah, warm. Damp.
Doesn't see a lot of action. You'd probably be able. I reckon you'd be safe there for a good few months.
It's kind of it's out of the sunlight. It's out of the direct sunlight for most of the time.
I think you'd probably go on.
Look at that! All deliveries received. Now let's just hope they know how to use them, right?
There'll be people. You know, I would certainly, from my personal experience, I'm plucking lint out of there. Flinging it. You don't want to.
By the sounds of things, an insect would be safe in Clarky's belly button.
Okay.
That's what we've learned. What we've learned is Clarky doesn't wash his belly button, and I don't wash my armpits. That's what we've learned. I think an insect would be safe in my belly button as well, Clarky. I was about to say that's a good one. So maybe Crosby just gives his belly button a bit more.
Rooting. Yeah, just I'm always in there.
Would you get a cobble bud in there?
No way, just the whole fist. I put the whole fist in my belly button.
the whole microphone?
I'll put the whole microphone in there.
I'll get it from the back. Nice. Goat impressions. Let's see you please.
Man kan se meget om folk, der lige på deres bil. Det er præcis det, som podcasten Gravs Garage handler om. Jeg hedder Christian Grav, og hver måned inviterer jeg en ny kendt gæst i studiet til en snak om vedkommendes måske mindre kendte liv med biler og i biler. Det er ikke småting af røverhistorier, der bliver lukket op for i den podcast, så lyt til Gravs Garage. Det er også podcasten.
Yeah, no, I don't ever... It's one of those places where every couple of years I'll have a really pleasingly pungent, smell in there.
No. Can't have that. We can't have this, mate.
Is that not allowed? No.
You've got to wash every part of your body, Tom.
It's all would have been in short circuit too. It's not allowed anymore, is it?
Times have changed. Human beings wash themselves now, Tom. I know you're still living in the days of the Jorvik Viking Centre.
I don't think you're going to be such a snowblower about it.
I wouldn't put a snowblower anywhere near your belly button. The debris that would fly off in our direction.
The only way I can get it clean.
Oh, it would look like fucking Earth Song. Good nightmare.
Feeling a little off.
Oh my god. I do think a lot about Inner Space was my favourite film. Just going to old films. That kind of journey through the human body. It has always been fascinating to me.
The fantastic
think and you kind of think the life of those kind of a mite must have it pretty good. You kind of think.
Yeah, well, they were talking about this recently, weren't they, about the insects that live in your pores, and they come out of your pores at night time and then shag on your face. Did you see this?
Hang on.
And not everybody's got them, but lots of people have them.
Let's face it, you've got it. You've got it, mate. I've got it. Let's fucking face it.
They're honeymooning in my stash, man.
You've got some fucking face for it. Crosby's where they host the series of Love Island.
the pores of my nose that Casa Amor, basically.
Love bug.
Who loves like in the village? Oh, I love it. Actually, it's a villa, isn't it? Not a village. It's not in the Wicker Man.
Walk me through these insect times that you pause and fucks on your face.
Right. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the world of the internet. And what am I typing in? Well, first, don't type the word internet. That's the format. Okay. I'm going to say right there. Snow goes face. Insect face sex. Here we go. Yeah, that was enough to get it there. Tiny 8-legged creatures have sex on your face while you sleep.
I don't need to know about this. Science? Come on, science.
You know what? Yeah.
Come on, science. Come on, my face. Because I think my face, I feel like that's the beach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's quite exciting that's where they're going to get down. Do you know what I mean?
It's very romantic. Fucking on your boy.
And also very smart, 'cause it's as far away from my belly button as possible, so... they'll be like, look, we visited the dormant volcano.
That's not your belly button, Tom.
It's not dormant, mate. On Vesuvius. It's very active.
Weirdly, coincidentally, you mentioning Vesuvius, the little sidebar, his tourist fell into Mount Vesuvius after taking selfie and ignoring signs. Oh, you hate it, don't you? Anyway, tiny 8-legged creatures have sex on your face while you sleep. So it reveals new research. The mites, invisible to the naked eye, are in the skin of all humans and have bizarre mating habits. Entwined couples cling onto our hair as they copulate, the bug world's version of swinging from the chandeliers. They are passed on during birth and carried by almost every person. Numbers peak in adults as paws grow bigger. Oh, I've got big Irish paws, and I must have tons of them. Now scientists have lifted the lid on the secret lives of the critters, from body features to their evolutionary future. Oh, apparently they might die out.
The mites might die out.
Mites might die out. So I mean, what's the secret? I guess we just try and rub your face on as many other faces as possible. Preferably, preferably very very little babies. You know, that's what that's what you got. I mean, maybe that's why you've got to do skin to skin. You've got to do baby. It's actually got nothing to do with bonding between the parents and the kid. It's to do with keeping this little mite juice.
The mites wrote the article.
I think so. Hang on a sec. Who's it written by? Written by M.Ite. Yes.
We'll never know.
Yeah,
We'll never know.
Who knows? Well, I was late for what he came up with. And it was solid. M.Ite. P.N. Gwyn.
M.Ite Shyamalan.
Hang on a sec. Hold on.
What twist in this story?
Oh, hang on a second. The twist is that we are actually the bugs. That's the M. Night Shyamalan twist. Shyamalan twist, isn't it?
Earth is just a big face.
Yeah,
and we're fucking
Earth is a big face.
That's quite philosophical for you, Clark, eh?
Thanks, man.
Do you want to get that printed on a t-shirt?
Sorry, I thought that was the end of the episode.
you go on the structure that if you hit a small bit of wisdom, then it's the end, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Well, I only have one a day, at best, so...
You're just about to log off the Zoom.
Well, we know what we're going to put on your gravestone now, at least, Clark. Here lies
M.Ite.
He M.Ite be dead. Can I pitch something to you, please? We've got a bit of time, haven't we?
Oh, we've got loads of time, man. We've got all the time in the world.
Let's say we've got a bit. Well, speaking of all the time in the world, I was thinking about, like, sleep.
Alright.
And how, like, it's pretty good we've got it, isn't it, really? It's pretty good we've got it.
Do you want to put that later?
That was on the top. I was thinking about how stressful life would be if you didn't get to have any sleep. B, but also you get so much shit done.
Like, yeah. So I'm trying to think of like a system. I think it's far off as an idea, which is like it's like a buddy system. Okay. And two of you, take the role of one person's role. Tom, as soon as you started talking about this is the exact same thought I had. I'm with you 100% there. Like, I think there's something in it. So one of you sleeps while the other's awake, and vice versa. You just kind of like fit that role. One house. Yeah. Exactly. So and does one person have kind of basically nocturnal? Maybe shifts. Oh, you do some shifts. So there would be just like when you both have a day off, and you end up having to sleep in the same bed. Like you both have a day off, and then you switch ends. So then you do a week of night shifts. Then you have a day off or 2 days off or whatever, standard weekend, and then you do a week of day shift, and then a weekend, and then a week of night shift. And then I was basically thinking back to like Copperfield, and the Prestige, and like the kind of the twins, like if the twin dream, the magician twin dream. And are you pulling off that lifelong dream? Are you doing the exact same work? Because it sort of works if it's like a menial task where there is no creativity. But if you are trying to create something, then surely you need a bit of handover. And unless you're sort of the two of you are sort of utterly simpatico, it means that you're going to end up with one person either kind of constantly fixing the mistakes of the previous session, or changing everything so much that it sort of renders it obsolete. I think you get like, that's your teenage years. You get to be simpatico, and then you're locked in. So then you just have to back each other. Explain that to me. So you just spend. See, this happens when you leave school. You like Lennon and McCartney for 5 or 6 years. So this is instead of school. It's kind of combined. Okay, you factor in. You'd be part of the training, I think. So you're doing your own, and then you're doing combined schoolwork, like you're doing your A levels with this other person. Yeah. Who's seen the exams? Yeah. If you ended up getting a week of day shifts when the exam season happens. No, but the thing is, the whole world's doing it, so everything's set up to cater for this. Okay. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about there'll be night shops, there'll be night clubs. Oh my god, that's a mad concept, like I don't think that's supermarket meant to be late opening supermarket at night. How's he done it? Well, there'll be nightclubs then. I'm not so bothered about the nightclubbing aspect of it, Clarky. But thank you for answering.
Hey there. What can I help you with? I'll be keeping my eye on you. Goodbye.
Could you say, you with your night partner, do you get much crossover time? Well, this is it. I mean, do you have any handover? I don't. You could have an hour. Yeah, like a little handover, a little brief. Like a brief, yeah. Yeah. And I wonder if you would then go like, well, look, I'm better at maths, you're better at English, so yeah, you take that, I'll take that. You do the washing up so much better than me. I could just never get English right. Hang on, hang on a minute. Wait, you're doing literally everything in life for the other person, but then like, it's a shared life. It's a shared life. Yeah, okay, so what are you doing about meals? Well, don't you cook for yourself? Yeah, but why are you washing up their for you and yours? You won't be able to cook. Why are you washing up their stuff? Then why don't you cook for yourself and wash your own stuff? You can cook them breakfast, maybe. Okay, so if you want a little treat, well, you're cooking for stuff I've done. You're not having a fry up. You're having a fry up for dinner, as they're, you come in. Morning, pal. I made you this. Hello, mate. By the way, you're doing history today.
Mate, don't worry, it's you again.
I've had a full night shift and I'm coming in to cook someone else a fry up and then go to bed.
Yeah, but it's like you've done a day of life. It's not necessarily been a full shift. You're just being you for 12 hours, and then in comes the next person to be you for the next 12. Or
And, you know, if you've made them breakfast, they'll do the same for you.
Yeah. And it's like, you'll wake up in the morning, if the laundry's backed up, and they've had time, they'll have done the laundry, and they'll have done a few hours of your work, and they'll have taken your partner, obviously it'll be the other, your partner will also have two entities operating in that facility. They'll have watched the film together or something.
Oh, wait a second. Yeah, but if they've watched it, it's like, that's tricky, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you have to partner up as pet? You presumably have to pair.
You polyamorous.
I thought you were going to say that's tricky. Do you get to watch the film as well?
That is also tricky, isn't it? Because then you have this thing of going, oh, you remember that film you saw? Wasn't it brilliant? You go, oh no, yeah, you saw that with the other one.
Yeah, but in the brief you go, short circuit 2, problematic, doesn't help her.
Snowblower question mark. Yeah, but then that's not the same as living though, is it? It's not the same as actually having a life, having somebody else at the end of each day say, here's what you lived today.
No, but I mean, you're still getting your days. This is all bonus stuff. This is bonus day. Because at the moment, you wake up in the morning, you got nothing.
So it's in order to be more productive, but you're being twice as productive. Are you getting... You presume you're being paid the same amount of money because you're being paid twice as much, but it's being split between two of you. So how are you being more productive? Who are you being more productive for?
But you're living in one place. Each other. You can share the same car.
You see each other for an hour a day. So why are you so invested in this person you basically never see?
Because they're your double. They're you. You're both.
Tom, can I ask you a question? MI1 and MI2. Can I ask you a question, Tom? Have you seen Severance?
No.
This is basically Severance.
It's a good series, actually.
Yeah.
It's invented a good series.
It's
well, did I invent it or did other Tom invent it? Is other Tom the writer of Severance?
Now we're talking. Can I just ask, just out of interest, what time is other Tom o'clock on? Tom's tipped off screen.
Hey guys!
This guy's got a lot of energy. I tell you what,
I know, I just had to go and look what time of the Tom was talking on
the half 11 or something. Oh, okay.
That just made me happy to see when it clocks on, that's all.
It's always a good smile. Just thinking, what time am I going to have to cook a fry up? But, at least get the pan bubbling, get those eggs ready for about 11:15.
I haven't got the heart to tell him I don't like it. So Severance is about two dudes living one life?
No, well, the idea behind Severance is they sort of sever your brain so that you don't know what you're doing at work, and so your work persona doesn't know what you do at home, and your home persona doesn't know what you do at work. So to the work persona, it feels like it never leaves work. To the home persona, it feels like it never has to go to work, and that's how you live your life.
That's the trade-off.
That's the trade-off, basically. Yeah. So effectively, you are kind of enslaving, sort of, half of your life. Because you're making work endlessly.
Well, my system's better than Severance.
Your system is a better system, but I still don't like.
Tom 2 isn't waking up and just eating the shit.
No, that's
Tom
true.
2 gets to watch Short Circuit 2.
So he is sort of eating the shit in some respects.
Sorry mate, I watched it before, so it's your turn to do. I'll tell you what, as a little treat, we'll do an hour of Love Island and Debate together, okay? We'll have a fry-up, watch an hour of Love Island and Debate. It may not seem like a treat.
I'll have a fry-up and go to bed with indigestion.
I'll have avenues and alleyways stuck in my head for the rest of the day.
For the rest of the working day. But you are...
the way we start.
The thing is,
Sorry about...
Presumably you're doing this... You're being incredibly productive for some sort of higher power, right? For like a boss figure. Because you personally aren't gaining anything from working.
Not necessarily though.
No, okay, go on.
It'll be my own
Hello, this is Pegasus Lifestyle Management. How can I help?
Be your own boss. You'll be running your own company. But at the same charge, but at the same time, your own boss.
So your specialty vehicle is available for collection right now. We hope you're very happy, madam. Call again. Goodbye.
We are, yeah, but we are because we're being twice as productive. They are very productive. If you were hiring someone, you'd be like, this guy's, this guy's 2 guys. Yeah. They'd be like, how does he do it? And they'd be like, shh, save the surprise. Yeah, but if you're being half as productive and it was just you, as 2 people being twice as productive, right? I hate to be mercenary about it, but this is true. Crosby, I don't know how you're not getting this, man. Yeah. Sharing a house. Because he gets to share a house and they're working through the night while you sleep. Yeah, so I want to sleep to watch films. On this week's Big Brothers, Tom, keep an eye up for them every day. Oh, dude, my cholesterol low, good, man. Well, here's the question. The biggest question, really. What happens when one of you, if one of you, sadly, passes on? What happens if one of you dies? The Chuckle Brothers scenario. No, that's not what happened. The Chuckle Brothers weren't at the same time, right? They weren't Chuckle Brothers. Why do you think they were so prolific? The Chuckle Brothers were hard working. No, see, they were a shift system. What you were telling me, it was like they would film it, they would do the 2-shot and then patch in the other brother. One of them would like crunch. Today. No, one guy was just walking around going, Friday. And then you go, wake up. So what? The camera crew who are filming the Chuckle Brothers, right? Yeah. So you're telling camera crews. So you're telling me that they are now working. In fact, this doesn't make any sense at all because your shoot is twice as high as it needs to be. It's twice as many people as it needs to. It's quite expensive for the same product. This is the answer. I don't know how many times I've been able to tell them. My final question, and then I'm happy to draw a line under it and accept it's a great idea. Will there be nightclubs? No, mate, there's nightclubs. Well, in which case, sign me and my twin brother up. And duets, the karaoke machines. I sing brunch, I cook to fry up, another nut to fry up, I cook to fry up, my hands are microscope. Oh, it's time. It's fucking unsafe. Only one of you characters works. Right. Now it all makes sense. Anyway, but basically, it's trying that. So you'd be happy with that? So, for example, the script you're currently working on, you would be happy if the next day you sat down to your desk, Elves and the Shoemaker style, another, whatever, 10,000 words that was written overnight. I'd be delighted with that. Follow-up question. I believe I've been to Pro Plus and writing 10,000 words. But it will never read. They're all song lyrics, weirdly. Well, more lovely, yeah. What a gorgeous app. Oh, fantastic, lovely. Now, we recorded that about 2 weeks ago, maybe a bit more than a fortnight ago, and I can tell you now, the hair on my hands is still gone. Oh! Yeah. So that's strip of hair that's just burnt away off my skin. And it's not like originally I thought, oh, there's going to be a few, like the hair's going to kind of grow back, but it doesn't seem like there is. So I've got a weird little friendship bracelet of baldness on my right wrist. What's going on? If anybody knows anything about it, I mean, obviously not the gold-winning well-being podcast and the podcast. If anybody can tell us, or me specifically, what do you think has happened to my body? The hair as well, that's wait, no, there's the back. How long is he looking? Yeah, the localised area of the back of my wrist. What do you think has happened to it? If anyone from the medical profession can help us out, that would be much appreciated. From the medical profession of this person, like the back of their hand. Oh my goodness. Like, absolutely, yeah, it's like none of that. Anyway, please get in touch. ps4pro@gmail.com. Also as well, your big sort of your on this podcast very soon. It seems like it's just getting little flurries whenever we ask people. So we're asking people now. Lots of things. We have to record. We're going to record some extra Big Brothers because Clark is away off to Australia, so we're going to sort of stock them all together. So please get in touch. Thank you. Yes, BigBrothersPodcast@gmail.com. Please do get in touch if you have anything that we and the guests might be able to solve. Also, the Patreon is patreon.com/PappySplatShare. And finally, there are a few dates for your diary. These are not on sale yet, but the 5th and 6th of September, there's going to be Flatshare stand downs in the Phoenix in London, our usual home. And of course, October the 9th, the Cheerful Earful Festival. There'll be a link to that in the show notes. Come along and see us with the Birthday Girls. It's 2 shows really. Birthday Girls House Party that we're going to be the guests on, and Happy Flatshare Stand Down. The Birthday Girls are going to be the guests on, and it should be a real treat. Also as well, if you are a fan of the Birthday Girls...
Hey, what's going on?
Which we are...
I take it this isn't purely a social call. Of course not. You're in trouble and you need my help. No problem.
And you'll know from a Big Brothers cold cuts we did a little while ago with her, which she was absolutely brilliant on. She's a phenomenal stand-up as well. She's not just brilliant in sketching the Birthday Girls. She's a phenomenal stand-up. She's doing a work-in-progress show on Monday the 8th and Saturday the 27th of August at the Soho Theatre. If you're close to London, if maybe you're missing Edinburgh, you want to go and see some comedy, then go and see Rose. Tickets are available from the Soho Theatre, and she just really is one of the best. She's such a funny person, she's such a funny stand-up, and you'll have a brilliant time. So you absolutely must go and see her. Tickets are available now for a very reasonable £14 currently, Lovely. So go and see Rose, she's absolutely great. Join our Patreon, send us messages on Twitter, all that kind of stuff, and have a wonderful time. Do you want to do the sign-off? No. Okay. This episode was by Emma Caution. Let me tell you, I take my caution. I can only apologise. Harry, I hope you have a good rest to show up. We're not really chances to pick you up. Clark turns it down. Can I just say, caution? I love the hard work you're doing on this podcast. You're a wonderful person. Stay tuned for the Patreon Neighbourhood Watch Roll Call. Cheers, everyone. Bye. All right, here we go. Let's have another one of our Patreon Neighbourhood Watch Roll Calls. And if you want to stand up, but if you don't, that's all right as well, because we're rebels around here. We're rebels. So, the other day, I got a new knife. I got some Brill cream to grease up my quiff. And I got a new leather jacket with up yours on the back. Maybe you'd like to come round the house and have a look. That's an open invitation to everyone, including my dear friend Carla Cook. Oh, that's a lovely. Invitation days later. It's a gorgeous intonation as well. Instead of